Rain slammed against the city like shattered glass. A black limousine glided to a stop beside a row of overflowing trash bins, its headlights slicing through the downpour. Inside, Ethan Cole sat in silence, the glow of his phone dimming against his sharp suit and colder eyes. He was supposed to be heading home from another charity gala, the kind where people applauded themselves for caring. But something outside the window froze him. A woman, barefoot, soaked to the bone, one arm clutching a baby wrapped in a thin towel, the other digging through black plastic bags. The wind howled through the alley, lifting her wet hair as she searched desperately, pulling out half-eaten sandwiches, brushing dirt away, sniffing them, and feeding tiny bits to the crying child. For a moment, Ethan couldn't move. His breath hitched. Cars behind them honked, impatient at the stalled limo. The driver turned slightly. "Sir!" Ethan's voice was low, tense. "Stop here!" The driver frowned. "Mr. Cole, this isn't—" I said, "Stop." The car eased to the curb. Ethan lowered the tinted window. The rain sprayed in, cold and sharp against his skin. The woman looked up, startled, shielding the baby with her arm. Her eyes were wide, not frightened, just exhausted, like someone who'd forgotten how to ask for help. Ethan reached into his coat, pulled out his wallet, and held out a few bills. "Take this," he said quietly. "Get something warm for your child." She shook her head, backing away a step. "I don't need your pity." Her voice cracked between defiance and humiliation. "It's not pity," he replied, but his words felt hollow, heavy. The baby whimpered, a small, broken sound swallowed by the storm. She turned away, pressing the child close, whispering, "Shh, it's okay. Mommy's got you," and continued digging through the trash. Ethan stepped out of the car. Rain soaked through his tailored suit instantly. His driver tried to protest, but he walked forward anyway, drawn by something he couldn't name. "You'll get sick," he said, raising his voice over the rain. She didn't look up. "You don't know what sick feels like, mister." He stood there, speechless, watching as she found a half-eaten bun, tore off the clean piece, and fed it to the baby. Her hands shook from cold, but her movements were gentle, protective. Ethan swallowed hard, his chest tightening. "Let me help," he said. Her gaze flicked toward him, eyes glimmering with anger and tears. "Then go help someone who wants it." She turned and disappeared into the alley shadows, the baby's soft cry fading with her. Ethan remained standing in the rain, a billionaire surrounded by wealth and noise, feeling poorer than he ever had before. The driver hurried out with an umbrella, voice trembling. "Sir, please, you'll catch your death." Ethan ignored him and stared into the darkness where she'd vanished. Something inside him twisted, a memory he couldn't fully grasp, a face from years ago that mirrored hers. Finally, he walked back to the car, drenched and silent. As the limousine pulled away, the wipers scraping rhythmically across the windshield, Ethan murmured under his breath, almost to himself, "She looked just like her." The driver glanced in the rearview mirror. "Sir, like who?" Ethan didn't answer. His eyes stayed fixed on the rain-streaked glass, where the faint reflection of a crying woman still lingered and refused to fade. The morning light burned through the dirty glass of the bus shelter, revealing the woman curled on a bench with a baby pressed to her chest. Maya's clothes were damp, her skin pale from the cold night. Little Liam whimpered softly, his forehead hot against her arm. She sat up fast, panic cutting through the fog in her head. His breathing was shallow, too fast. "No, no, baby, not now," she whispered, kissing his hair, feeling tears sting her eyes. She wrapped him tighter in her jacket and ran into the street, dodging traffic. The city was already awake. People in suits, coffee cups, umbrellas, but nobody looked twice at her. She stumbled into a small clinic, the kind that smelled of bleach and tired hope. "Please, my baby." "He's sick." "He needs help." The nurse glanced up, scanning her clothes, her trembling hands. "Do you have insurance?" Maya shook her head, clutching Liam tighter. "Please, he just needs something for the fever." The nurse sighed, typing slowly. "The doctor's full today. You can wait." "But I can't wait," Maya shouted, her voice breaking. "He's burning up." People turned to stare. A guard began walking over. Shame rushed through her like fire. She backed away, whispering, "Forget it. I'll find another place." Outside, the rain had stopped, but the world still felt heavy. She sat on the curb, rocking Liam, humming the lullaby her father once sang. His tiny fingers clutched her shirt weakly. Then, a voice behind her. "Ma'am?" She turned. A nurse stood there holding a clipboard. "Someone's just covered your baby's treatment. A private donor through the Mr. Cole Foundation." Maya blinked. "Who?" "I'm not sure," the nurse replied gently. "But it's real. Please, come back inside. He can be treated immediately." Maya's throat tightened. Part of her screamed no. Don't trust strangers, not after everything. But Liam's soft cry made the choice for her. Inside, warmth replaced the cold. Machines beeped softly as a doctor examined Liam. "He'll be fine," the doctor said with a reassuring smile. "Just dehydration and fever. He needs rest and clean air." When Maya stepped back into the hall, a man in a gray suit was waiting. "Miss Maya?" he asked. "I'm with the Cole Foundation. We've arranged a temporary place for you and your child. A safe home. It's fully furnished and stocked, just until you get back on your feet." Her heartbeat quickened. "Why? Who asked you to do this?" He smiled politely. "Just someone who believes you deserve a chance." That answer chilled her. "I don't like charity." "This isn't charity," he said softly. "It's help. Please, take it." Hours later, she stood in a small apartment. Clean, warm, smelling faintly of lavender and new paint. There were diapers on the table, fresh clothes, food in the fridge. She wanted to cry, but pride kept her upright. That night, she laid Liam in the crib and watched his fever ease. The city lights flickered outside, distant and safe. "Maybe this is our miracle," she whispered, brushing his hair. Then something slipped under the door, with a faint scrape. A folded paper. She hesitated, walked over, and picked it up. It wasn't a letter. It was a photograph, old, faded. Her breath caught. It showed her, maybe 6 years old, standing beside her late father, and next to him, a much younger Ethan Cole, smiling in a pressed white shirt. The photo slipped from her trembling hand as she whispered, "How? How does he know me?" The photograph trembled in Maya's hands. Her father's familiar smile stared back at her. Proud, gentle, protective. And beside him stood the same man she'd seen on TV screens and billboards, Ethan Cole, the billionaire who had somehow found her in the gutter and swept her into this strange kindness. Her throat tightened. How could he know my father? She hurried to the door, her bare feet silent against the floor. The nurse who came by each morning was in the kitchen preparing bottles for Liam. Maya thrust the photo toward her. "Where did this come from?" The nurse blinked. I don't know. Did someone deliver it?" "Don't lie to me," Maya's voice cracked. "You work for him, Ethan Cole. Tell me why he's doing this." The nurse raised her hands, startled. "Ma'am, please. I'm just assigned to care for your baby. I don't know Mr. Cole personally." Maya's chest heaved. The woman's eyes seemed honest, but fear buzzed inside her. She rushed into the hallway, asking the doorman, the cleaner, anyone. But every answer was the same. No one knew anything. That night, when Liam finally slept, she sat in the dim light of the apartment and stared at the photo again. Memories flickered. Her father's laughter, the smell of car polish, the days he'd come home in a driver's uniform. He used to tell her stories about the man in the tall house, his boss, a man who smiled but carried secrets behind his eyes. He'd lost that job suddenly. No explanation, just a bruise on his face. and a silence that lasted until his death, months later, in a mysterious accident. She remembered standing beside the casket, too young to understand why her mother kept whispering, "They took everything from us." Maya's stomach churned. Could Ethan Cole have been that man's son? Or the man himself? Across town, in a mansion of glass and steel, Ethan sat alone in his study. The rain had returned, tapping against the windows like distant memories. His desk was covered in old files, driver logs, legal documents, a faded newspaper clipping about a car crash 15 years ago. He ran a hand over his face, haunted by what he saw. His assistant, a sharp-eyed woman named Claire, stepped inside quietly. "You've barely slept, sir." "I'm fine," Ethan muttered, eyes fixed on the file. She hesitated. "This woman you're helping? This project, it feels personal. Is there something I should know?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "She deserves a chance, something I couldn't give her father." Claire studied him, realizing there was pain he wouldn't share. "You can't undo the past," she said softly. "No," Ethan replied, his voice distant. "But maybe I can stop it from ruining another life." Later that night, Maya couldn't sleep. The photo burned in her mind. She got up, tiptoeing into the hallway for air. The apartment was quiet, too quiet, except for a faint murmur. She froze. A security guard near the elevator spoke softly into his radio. "Yes, Mr. Cole. She's fine. We're keeping watch." A pause. "Understood, sir." She mustn't remember yet. Maya's pulse thundered in her ears. "Remember what?" She backed away slowly, clutching her baby as the guard's voice faded. Maya froze as the door creaked behind her. Ethan stood in the shadows, rainwater dripping from his coat, his face pale as marble. For a long moment neither spoke. Only the sound of the old clock ticked in the silence between them. "You weren't supposed to see this," he said finally, his voice rough, almost broken. Maya turned, her eyes wet. "Then why keep it? Why hold on to a room that belongs to a ghost?" He stepped forward slowly, his gaze locked on the tiny crib. "Because I couldn't let her go." He walked past her, fingertips brushing the dust on a faded blanket. "Her name was Anna. She was just 8 months old." His breath caught. "Same as your boy." Maya's chest tightened. She died in that accident, didn't she?" Ethan nodded once, his jaw trembling. "The night your father drove me home from the plant. I'd been drinking. I thought I could handle it. But when the brakes failed, I wasn't the one who paid the price." His voice cracked, barely a whisper now. "Your father died protecting my child, and still, she didn't make it." Silence filled the room, heavy, suffocating, alive with grief. "I spent years," Ethan continued, staring at the crib, "funding shelters, hospitals, searching alleys, trying to buy forgiveness from ghosts." He looked at her now, eyes wet with a pain too old to hide. "When I saw you that night in the rain, I thought fate was mocking me, but maybe it was giving me a chance to make something right." Maya swallowed hard, her fingers trembling as she reached down to touch the dusty railing of the crib. "You can't fix the past, Ethan," she said softly. "No money ever will." "I know." His voice was almost a whisper. "But maybe I can help fix what's left of it." She turned toward him, tears streaming freely now. "You didn't save me out of pity, did you?" "It was guilt." He nodded, unable to lie. She stared at him for a long moment, then looked toward the door where her baby slept in the stroller. "Maybe guilt brought you here," she said quietly. "But compassion is what kept you." For the first time, Ethan's lips trembled into something like a smile. Fragile, exhausted, he stepped closer, voice shaking but sincere. "Let me help you, Maya. Not because you need charity. Because you deserve justice. For your father. For yourself. For your son." Maya closed her eyes. For the first time in years, her heart felt lighter. Still aching, but no longer alone. "Then help me live," she whispered. "Not survive, live." Outside, the rain finally stopped. The night held a strange calm, as if both of them had finally exhaled after years of holding their breath. But peace never lasts long. Ethan's phone buzzed sharply, cutting through the stillness. His expression shifted as he read the screen, horror creeping into his face. Maya's stomach dropped. "What is it?" He looked up, voice shaking. "They leaked everything. Our names, the baby, the photos." Before she could respond, another sound pierced the air. A knock, loud and cold. Then a voice from outside. "Child Protective Services. We have an order to remove the infant for investigation." Maya's eyes went wide in shock. Liam's cry echoed through the hall as uniformed officers appeared in the doorway. Ethan's hand clenched into a fist. "No," he whispered. "Not again." They tore her apart first. Maya Thompson, the billionaire's mistress, scam mother behind charity lie. Every headline dripped poison. Photos of her holding Liam splashed across news feeds, her face twisted mid-sob. They called her a fraud, a manipulator, a woman who used her child to trap a powerful man. And then they turned on him. Ethan Cole's secret life exposed. Corporate giant's hidden tragedy. Stock prices crashed overnight. Investors fled. His board demanded answers. His empire, the one he'd built brick by merciless brick, began to collapse. He sat alone in his office, the skyline dim outside, knowing he'd reached the point of no return. When his lawyer arrived, Ethan stood. "Prepare a statement," he said quietly. "Everything. The accident. The cover-up. My part in it." The man stared at him, stunned. "You'll lose everything," Ethan nodded. "Then maybe I'll finally earn something real." The next morning, the world watched as Ethan Cole walked into court with Maya, sitting silently in the back row, Liam asleep in her arms. Cameras flashed. Reporters screamed his name. He didn't look at them once. Inside, he told the truth. Every ugly, buried part of it. How his negligence led to the crash, how her father died saving his daughter, how guilt drove him to hide behind money and foundations, and how seeing Maya in the rain had shattered whatever mask he had left. The courtroom was silent when he finished. Ethan turned, eyes meeting Maya's. "I ruined her life before she even knew my name," he said softly. "Today, I give back what's left of mine." Maya's tears fell freely. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. The truth spoke louder than anything she could have said. When the verdict came, Ethan was found guilty of corporate negligence and obstruction. His sentence was years in prison, but his confession changed everything. The charges against Maya were dropped. The tabloids retracted their lies. Weeks later, she walked out of the courthouse holding Liam close, the sunlight warm against her face. Reporters shouted questions, but she only whispered one thing under her breath. "Thank you." Months passed. The world forgot, as it always does, but Maya didn't. She rebuilt quietly, working at a community shelter downtown. One afternoon, she followed a crowd to a new building opening nearby. A large sign hung above the door. Hope and Grace Foundation. Inside, she found Ethan. Thinner, older, but calm, sweeping the floor among volunteers, the air filled with laughter and children's voices. He looked up, surprised, but smiling. "Didn't think you'd visit?" Maya smiled faintly. "You gave it all away," she said. He shrugged. "Didn't need it anymore." She stepped closer. "You thought you saved me," she whispered, her voice breaking. "But maybe I saved you too." He looked down, eyes glistening, and nodded. "Yeah, you did." Outside, the evening sun spilled through the windows, painting the room gold. Maya's voice echoed softly, as if carried by the wind. True redemption isn't buying forgiveness. It's facing the truth, no matter the cost. If this story touched your heart, share it, because kindness can heal wounds money never will. For the first time, the warmth of the apartment felt like a cage. Maya smiled when the nurse entered that morning, pretending warmth she didn't feel. She offered tea, asked polite questions, even laughed once. But her mind was racing. Every sound, every word might be a clue. The nurse checked Liam's temperature, then excused herself to make a call in the hallway. Maya waited until the door closed before creeping closer, her bare feet soundless on the tiles. The nurse's voice was low but clear. "Yes, Mr. Cole, she's stable." No signs she recalls her father's accident. Maya froze. Her stomach dropped. Accident? She stumbled back into the room, heart pounding. When the nurse returned minutes later, Maya was sitting still, pretending to rock Liam. "Everything okay?" the nurse asked. Maya forced a nod, hiding her trembling hands. "Just tired," but inside, her fury ignited. They'd been watching her, lying to her, and Ethan Cole, the man who saved her, was the same man whispering about her father's death. That night, after the nurse left, Maya dug through the apartment for anything with his name on it. Mail, files, even the brand labels on furniture. Everything tied back to one address. Cole Industries, Tower 1. She whispered to Liam, "If he's hiding something, I'll find it." Across the city, Ethan stood alone before a locked cabinet in his private office. The lights from downtown shimmered against the glass walls, ghostly reflections of a man who couldn't escape himself. He unlocked the drawer and pulled out a stack of yellowing papers. Police report, Incident 14B, Coal Transport Division. His hands shook as he unfolded the top sheet. A photograph slipped out. Twisted metal. Shattered glass. A man's lifeless body on a rainy road. The driver, Maya's father. He remembered the night vividly. The vehicle had malfunctioned. A faulty brake system ignored by his company's maintenance team. He'd been only 24, newly in charge, too arrogant to question the reports. The crash was buried under corporate lawyers and money. He'd watched a grieving wife collapse at the courthouse and a little girl clutch her hand. That girl was Maya. For years, the guilt followed him. He donated millions to charity, built shelters, launched foundations. None of it dulled the noise in his head. Then, last week, when he saw her in the rain, the same eyes, the same fragile defiance, it all came back like punishment. He had to make it right. Maya, meanwhile, forged a fake ID and applied for a janitorial job at Cole Industries under the name Anna Reed. Within days, she was mopping floors on the 23rd level, where polished marble and glass screamed wealth. Every reflection reminded her of him. She studied the plaques, the photos on the walls, Ethan smiling beside politicians, charity banners boasting hope through wealth. The hypocrisy burned. One afternoon, while cleaning an empty corridor, she overheard executives whispering about Mr. Cole's secret outreach case. She leaned closer, heart hammering, but the elevator chimed behind her. Footsteps echoed. Sharp, deliberate, she turned and saw him, Ethan Cole, in a dark suit, walking straight toward her. Maya ducked behind a marble pillar, pressing her hand over her mouth. He stopped only a few feet away, his gaze fixed where she hid. Silence stretched between them. Then, in a voice barely louder than the hum of the lights, he said, "You shouldn't have come here." Her blood ran cold. Ethan stood by the tall window of his office, rain streaking the glass behind him. The skyline burned gold and gray in the morning haze. When Maya entered, escorted by security, he turned slowly, his expression calm, but something in his eyes looked broken. "Please," he said quietly, gesturing to the chair across from his desk. "Sit." Maya didn't. "You said I shouldn't have come here," she replied. "Now you're calling me in?" Make up your mind. A faint, humorless smile touched his lips. You deserve an explanation. She folded her arms, clutching her bag protectively. Then start talking. Ethan exhaled and leaned against his desk. Your father was a good man, one of the best employees I ever had. He drove for my company, back when I was too young to understand the weight of responsibility. Her jaw tightened. You knew him. You lied. I didn't lie, he said. I just wasn't ready to tell you the rest. Maya's heartbeat thundered. The rest? He hesitated, eyes flicking toward the window as if searching for courage. There was an accident. One of our transport vehicles. Faulty brakes. Your father was driving that night. He died instantly. The words hit like glass. Maya took a step back. Your company? Yes, Ethan's voice cracked. It was my company's negligence. A mechanical fault that should have been fixed months before. I was told about it, but I signed off on delaying repairs to save money. It was my decision. Maya's breath caught. She wanted to scream, to throw something, but all she could do was stare. I tried to find you, he said, taking a step forward. Your mother disappeared after the settlement. I searched for years, but by the time I found a lead, she had passed. You were gone. His voice trembled now. And then, last week, seeing you on that street. Maya, I didn't know whether to stop or drive off the bridge. Her throat burned. You think helping me now fixes it? A few hospital bills? A nice apartment? And suddenly your soul's clean? No, he whispered. It doesn't fix anything, but I had to try. She pressed a hand to her chest, trembling. My father trusted you. He said you were a good man. Ethan's voice broke completely. He was wrong. Silence swallowed the room. Only the faint hum of the rain remained. Maya turned toward the door, tears mixing with anger. You ruined my life before it even began, she said. And now you expect me to thank you for remembering? He didn't answer. His eyes glistened, hollow and raw. She walked out without looking back. The elevator doors closed behind her with a metallic sigh. Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the city glazed in pale sunlight. She walked quickly across the pavement, head down, clutching Liam to her chest. Across the street, a black sedan idled. Inside sat a man with a camera, lens focused on her face. He zoomed in, clicked twice, and smiled faintly. So, he murmured into his phone, she's alive after all. The photo hit the internet like a spark in dry grass. By dawn, a glossy magazine editor stared at the image. A billionaire's sleek car in the rain. A young mother clutching her baby. Across the desk, a journalist slid a headline mock-up. Billionaire's secret connection to homeless mother. Run it, the editor said. Tomorrow's front page. Hours later, the world began to whisper. Maya didn't notice at first. She was in a small grocery store, cradling Liam while counting coins for formula. The cashier's eyes kept flicking toward her phone. A flash went off, then another. She turned, startled. Cameras, voices, questions slicing through the air. Miss, how do you know Ethan Cole? Is he the baby's father? Did he pay you to stay quiet? Maya froze. Her heart pounded as hands reached toward her, microphones shaking like weapons. Liam started crying. Stop! She shouted, pushing through the crowd. Leave us alone. Outside, rain threatened again, and tires screeched as a black car pulled up. Ethan stepped out, his bodyguards forming a shield around him. His face was pale, furious. Get in the car, he ordered. Maya backed away. No more hiding. No more money. They're twisting everything, he said, voice breaking. You're not safe out here, she shook her head. Safe? Ever since you showed up, my life's been a nightmare. He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. If that's what you want, I'll back off, but I'll keep watch, whether you like it or not. Maya turned away, clutching Liam tighter, her heart burning with shame and confusion. By nightfall, her face was everywhere, Screens, headlines, feeds. The mystery mother linked to the city's coldest billionaire. Across town, the same journalist who had taken her picture scrolled through old reports on Ethan Cole. Then he stopped. An old file, a forgotten article draft. He zoomed in on a name buried in the accident records. Victim 2. Anna Cole, infant daughter of Ethan Cole. He whispered, stunned. He lost his child. The same night her father died. Meanwhile, Ethan sat alone in his dark study, the city glowing beneath him. A single framed photo lay on his desk, a baby girl with bright blue eyes. His hand trembled as he traced the glass. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "To both of you." Outside, lightning flashed, slicing through the window's reflection. Maya couldn't sleep. Her phone buzzed nonstop with unknown numbers, insults, and threats. She sat by Liam's crib, staring at the photo of her father, and the faint shadow of Ethan beside him. She whispered, "What really happened that night?" Finally, driven by something between anger and sorrow, she packed her baby into a blanket and slipped into the storm. The mansion gates loomed ahead, silent, massive, unguarded. She climbed through the side entrance, heart racing. Inside, the house was still. Dust drifted through the faint glow of hallway lights. Then she saw it. A small door slightly open at the end of the corridor. She pushed it gently. The air inside was frozen in time. A nursery, untouched, covered in dust. A mobile of stars hung motionless above a tiny crib. On the wall, faded letters spelled Anna. Maya's breath trembled. The truth she'd feared was written in silence all around her.